welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. So today I am so excited to be sharing with you a new release from Goss, and we now are going to be talking about his Pearl eyeshadow palette. Here is the beauty right here, and I cannot wait to share with you my thoughts about this eyeshadow palette. I'm also going to be sharing with you basically all of the other products that I have from Goss and recommending the ones that I think will work best for you based on your complexion and also maybe your makeup style. So this is kind of like a full face of Goss type of video, recommendations Goss type of video, because he's come out with a lot of amazing products lately, and it can be a little hard to figure out what would be great for you. So hopefully this video is helpful to you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and clicking on my video. I truly do hope that you will consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl squad, and let's get right into this video. So like I said, we are talking about Goss's newest release. This is his Pearl eyeshadow palette. And this palette does retail for $55, and it comes with 6 shades. So we have a matte shade right here, one right here, one here, and one here. And then we have a satin formula right here, and then what he calls his celestial formula here. He has listened to everyone and decided to take out the black eyeshadow that he has been incorporating in his previous eyeshadow palette, and he, I think, replaced the black with a very unique color and shade right here. So I'm going to do some quick swatches of all of them, and then we'll get into the tutorial. The first shade is going to be this beautiful matte cream shade. And this shade is like a cream with like a hint of pink. It's just got just the ever so slight hint of pink to it. At least that's what I see. Here is the satin shade, which is really, really pretty and beautiful. Very smooth, no texture at all to it. It's just a beautiful satin formula. Here is another matte shade, and I think this one is really pretty and unique. So this is a pink type of shade, but it's a very soft, pinky mauve type of color. I really like how soft it is in its pigmentation, but it actually shows up pretty nicely on the eye, and you can build the intensity of that shade, which I really do like. Coming into the third matte, we have this beautiful mauve brown with a pinkish hue to it. I really like this shade as well, and this shade also does have some depth to it that can be built up as well. This is the last matte in the palette, and this is one shade that is really, really unique. So it's a grayish, mauvish pink type of shade, and I really, really like it. When I saw it in the pan, I was like, this is different. I don't think I have a shade like this, and I like that it has some warmth in it and really does go well with the other shades in the palette. And then lastly, this is his celestial shade, which this shade is just such a beautiful shimmer topper. It also can be worn alone. There's no texture to it, so it's not going to be one of those glitter shades that will fall into your eye and irritate the eye. It's just a really beautiful celestial shade that will add a lot of sheen, a lot of dimension to the eye. So those are swatches of the eyeshadow palette. So now let's get into the tutorial. So I watched the reveal video from Goss, and he says that this type of eyeshadow palette is the one that he would reach for when he was doing bridal makeup in terms of the color scheme in this palette. And so when I saw it, I said, okay, if I were getting married, what type of look would I do with this palette? And that's pretty much what I created on my eyes. So I started out with this, like I said, this pinky kind of mauvey type of shade. It blended so nicely into the crease. It built up really nicely as well. I thought it was gonna come off a lot lighter than what it actually does. So I was really happy that there is some depth to this color and it can be built up. Then I wanted to put this brown type of shade into the crease, and I think that once again, his mattes just blend beautifully. So there's never any discrepancy with any of his mattes, any of the eyeshadow palettes that I have from him. All of the mattes do blend the same, very creamy, very buttery, very smoothly. So this shade blended really nicely into the crease. I think these two shades mixed very nicely together, and I definitely did see a little bit of depth added to the crease from this shade. So then I wanted to go in with this grayish type of shade and pack it onto the outer lid. That applied very nicely. And I will admit, initially I was like, uh-oh, what am I doing? Like, is this gonna go? Like, is this gonna flow? But it does. It really did come together. And so to kind of blend this shade a little bit more, because I wanted to make it transition a little easier, I just didn't want to have like a stark amount of this shade packed onto the outer lid. I blended the edges of this shade with this shade right here, and I think it looked really nicely blended together. So then I went in with this satin shade and applied that all along here. Beautiful. It applied so nicely. I do think it's a shade that can be built up in its intensity, but I don't think it's going to be one of those shades where you're going to just get like full pack Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath type of shimmer. But then again, that is not the aesthetic of Wayne Goss. He's going to give you beautiful, I think of like beautiful angelic types of payoffs. And so this particular shade does just that. And then I wanted to add a little pizzazz to the look, because I'm like, if it was my wedding day, I definitely want you to see my eyes, see them sparkle and shine. So I went in with the Celestial shade with my finger first, and I do think that's one of the better ways to apply this shade. Go in with your finger and then apply it onto the lid. So once I got down a good amount of that shade onto the lid, then I did wet my brush to just kind of like get into the corners of the eye and things like that where my finger would be just a little too big to get into. And then for the lower lash line, I didn't film this, but I will tell you what I did. I went in with this gray shade along the outer portion of the eye, and then I blended this gray shade with this shade right here, just all along here. And then for the inner lower lash line, I went in with the satin shade, and that's what we have for the inner corner of the eye and the inner lower lash line. I did go in with this last cream pinkish matte shade and use that for the brow bone highlight. I personally love matte shades for my brow bone highlight, and I love how it just really diffused the shades that I used for my transition and just blended it all together. And that is how I got this look. Very simple, very straight and to the point. And I really enjoy this eyeshadow palette. This is one, first of all, if y'all know me, you know I love me some pink. So when I saw this, I was like, I'm gonna like it. Secondly, I truly do love Wayne Goss's products. And yes, this was sent to me. Thank you so much to Wayne Goss and Beautylish. But I personally have come to truly enjoy the brand. So regardless of if they were gonna send it to me or not, I was gonna buy this. This is a palette that I would definitely reach for when I want looks like this. These are the types of looks that I would wear either to work. I would wear them to events that I don't wanna have like too much of a statement look on the eyes, but I really want it to just be pretty and angelic. Those are the two words that come to mind when I think of this palette. It's pretty and it's angelic, and those are the types of looks that I'm going to get. So I think this palette is definitely a winner. I think he did an amazing job, and the way that he wanted this palette to perform and how he wanted this palette to look, I think he did just that with the shades and the formulation of the palette. Now, is this palette gonna work for everyone? No, it's not. So when I was looking at this palette, I was just like, you know, if I had deep, rich skin, I don't think this is gonna be the best palette that would show up on my skin. I'm not saying that none of the shades would show up. It just probably wouldn't be one that would really complement my complexion and give me the depth that someone who had a lighter complexion would get. So if you wanted to try any of Wayne Goss's eyeshadow palettes, I would suggest his first eyeshadow palette called Imperial Topaz. This eyeshadow palette definitely has a lot more depth to it, and I feel like no matter what complexion you have, you could definitely use these shades and get a look that you would be really happy with. So this particular palette has 3 matte shades here. You have 2 of his satin shades and the Celestial formulation here. If you wanted a little bit of something different, I would also suggest the Pearl Moonstone palette if you have a deeper complexion, because I think even though this one is much more cool tone, it has those grays. Like I said, his shadows do show up deeper on the eyes than they look in the pan. So that is one thing that I can say about Wayne Goss that I am very happy about, because I've seen a few of his palettes and I'm like, that's not gonna show up on me, and it does. So I think this one, Pearl Moonstone, and then Imperial Topaz would be good eyeshadow palettes for you to look into if you have a deeper complexion and you do want to try one of Wayne Goss's eyeshadow palettes, but you also want to make sure it's going to show up I think if you're about a couple shades deeper than me, then you can enjoy this palette. But if you are a little deeper, like I said, I'm not saying it won't work. I just don't know if you're gonna get the depth that you would probably want to get from this palette. Now, if you are comfortable with going, okay, you know, I'm not gonna maybe be able to use this entire palette to give me the depth that I want, but I can use some of these shades, then I say go for it because it is a beautiful formulation. I love the tones of this eye look. It is so pretty. So I definitely recommend the palette, but just want to be honest in terms of who I think this palette will work best for. If you're someone who's like me, like if I'm gonna reach for a palette, I like to just use whatever's in the palette for the look that I want. When it comes to his blush and highlight palettes, I think they are amazing, and recently he did restock all of the shades of his blush and highlight palettes. So for today's look, I did go in with 2 blushes from 2 of the blush palettes. So I'll show you what those are when I can find them. Now this is a recommendation I do have for Wayne Goss because I be struggling. All of his packaging, the outer packaging looks like this. All of it, for the blush palettes, the bronze palettes, and for the eyeshadow palettes. So I would love for him to maybe diversify the outside of the packaging just a little bit so we can at least quickly see what palette we're picking up. That I would definitely say is a little bit of an annoyance because I'm like, oh, what am I looking for? So, I mean, on the back, you can see, you know, what the palette is, but it'd be nice if like it was something on the outside that you could quickly look at it and go, okay, this is at least an eyeshadow palette, this is a blush palette, this is a bronzer palette. Okay, so for the bronzer, I'll tell you what bronzer I use. This is Deep Copper. This is the deepest bronzer palette that he does have. So I used this deeper shade here for my bronzer. I really like this formulation as well. It's really soft. It has a radiance to it, but it also looks matte from a distance, and I prefer a matte bronzer. So I like that I do get some radiance from the bronzer, but it's not like glittery or too shimmery that it kind of takes away from sculpting out the face. And this shade right here is absolutely my favorite to contour my nose. Like, if I'm gonna contour my nose, I will get this palette and use this shade right here. So I did contour my nose today just to give it a little bit of structure. For my blush today, this is the highlighter and blush palette in Blush Peony. And so I went in with this pink shade, and that is what I use on this portion of my cheek. I really, really like it. And once again, like I said, when I looked at this initially, I was like, this highlight shade is not gonna show well on me at all, but it does. It's really pretty. I did do a whole review on these these blush and highlight palettes, so I'll make sure to link all of the Wayne Goss videos that I've done so you can see, you know, the actual palettes and shades on me in more detail. And then I went in with this shade right here, which is right here, as my highlight, and it is gorgeous. It gives you that pinky hue, but it's not too pink and too stark to where it looks more like costumey. Like, I would for sure wear this to an event. I love it. And then on the apples of my cheek, I went in with this blush palette. This is Coral Rose, and so I went in with this particular shade on the apples of the cheeks, and oh, it's just so pretty. Wayne Goss's makeup is some of my favorite because it is just pretty makeup, pretty functional makeup. So I would say if you're interested in his blush and highlight palettes, for sure check them out. I can wear all of the shades of his blush and highlighter palettes. I'll show you the other ones. One of my favorites is this one. This is Bright Poppy. I think this one would be amazing on deeper complexions. And this last one is Vivid Azalea, another one that I think would work beautifully on deeper complexions, believe it or not, especially this highlighter. So I would say if you have, you know, lighter complexions to about a few shades deeper than me, you can use any shade. If you are of a richer complexion, then you'll want to stick with Bright Poppy and Vivid Azalea because you'll get the most bang for your buck from the highlighter and the blush. I did use his eye kohl today in Rich Hazel. Y'all, look at this. I have used this one so much. I use Wayne Goss's eye kohls every time I do my makeup. Like, Rich Hazel obviously is my favorite. They last so well in the eye. They are also very pigmented. He has a blue one, a purple one, this brown one, a black one, and I love them all. Like, his eyeliners are the first ones that I reach for. I also love these eyeliners because I can actually use them as a base for my eyeshadow, or I can actually use this as my eyeshadow. Like, I was doing my sister-in-law's makeup and I wanted to do just like a quick little brown look through her eyes, and I used the eye kohl, put it onto the eyelid, blended it out, and like we were ready to go. So these eyeshadows are so multifunctional. They are so good and so long lasting. Chef's kiss, like my favorite, and they have been my favorite for over a year. I also used Wayne's mascara, and this mascara is good. So he was like, you know, I don't want to make a mascara that's gonna, you know, do all of these things that mascara is never gonna do. He was like, I want a mascara that's gonna be great, lengthen your lashes, add volume, and that's what it's supposed to do, and it does. So I really like using this mascara with or without lashes. Today I'm wearing lashes, obviously, but this one does work really nicely without lashes, and it's also waterproof, so it does last all day long. It does not transfer on the lower lash line for me either. So between this mascara and another one, these are the mascara. I've been using 2 mascaras all this month, and Wayne Goss's mascara has been one of them. And then lastly, his lip products. His lip products were the first products that obviously that he came out with. I purchased those, and I, like, from that moment on, I was like, if all of Wayne's products are gonna have this type of luxe feel to them, I will love the brand forever, which is why I love Wayne Goss's brand. So the 2 shades that I have on my lips are by far my 2 favorite shades from his lipsticks, and I have almost all of them. I don't have every single one of them. I think I'm missing like 1 or 2, but I do have the majority of them. So I started off with Amaryllis. Standard pinky nudes, just Chelsea in a lipstick, okay? So this is Amaryllis. I put that down first all over my lips, and then I did top in the center of my lips with Dahlia. And this one is more of like a peachy pink nude. I can't. I do love the other shades that I have, and like I said, I will link my videos where I will share all the other shades that I do have from him. I didn't use his lip liner today, I just realized that. So he does have lip liners, I really enjoy those. And I also have a couple of his lip glosses. I didn't use those today because I really like this combination on my lips. But I would say for his lipsticks, he does have some deeper shades. So this one is Zinnia. So this one is a shade that I think would work really nicely for any complexion. And then here is Carnation, another one of his deeper shades. And I have one more, and I can't find it. But I will say, if you like pinky nudes, you will love any of the rest of his lipsticks. These are the ones that I have, like I said, that are not your traditional kind of pinky peachy nudes. So I do think that Wayne Goss's line as a whole is a really good solid line. I definitely think that there's obviously room for improvement to just make sure that he's creating products for all complexions. For instance, with his bronze and sculpt palette, this being the deepest one, he definitely could go deeper. I think he could at least come out with like 1 or 2 more deep shades in the bronzer palette so that richer complexions can try this, because obviously if you are any richer than maybe a shade deeper than me, you're not going to be able to wear this palette. I also would love to see him create another eyeshadow palette like this, but in maybe richer tones. So if you have like rich deep skin, you could wear it completely. Oh, I think that would just be stunning. So I think Wayne Goss is just, like I said, one of my favorite brands. I truly do love it. I cannot wait to see more from him. And like I said, I really hope that he does continue to expand his shade range so that everybody can truly enjoy any and all of his products. I hope that you found this video helpful, especially if you were interested in his brand and you kind of wanted to know what products will work best for you and your complexion. And let me know down in the comment section below what some of your favorite Wayne Goss products are, if you are interested in any of his other products. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad. And guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.